Hello, welcome to Career Oyster Podcast. I'm Howard Caddy, founder and head coach of Career Oyster. In this podcast series, we are talking to owners and executives of recruiting, staffing, and search firms to get their views and their expertise about the potential changes in the economy, in AI, and in the job marketplace, and how they are preparing to meet these challenges. My guest today is Brandon Carter. He is the COO of the Team Architects. Keyword, the Team Architects. And the team uses quite a bit of innovative assessment techniques to both identify and enhance job descriptions, as well as to identify candidates whose innate skills would guarantee a higher probability of success in a placement. I'd love to talk about this approach, and it may be a significant trend going forward as AI comes in and some of the differentiation seems to disappear. So with that, welcome today, Brandon, and please tell us a little more about your company and your role and why you joined it.
Yeah, so Team Architects is a company that's been around about almost 6 years. It was founded in a mastermind environment. So there's a mastermind of real estate investment professionals that get together, and there was a common trend that talent was a problem for all of them. So there was a need for a better way to find talent, and some of the founders got together and decided that there needs to be a more systemized process rather than just posting an ad on Indeed and getting applicants and going through the interview process with them and hiring off of experience, because that's typically what people do is say, I need to find someone with this experience and I'm looking for someone I can place right in there. And the fallout's pretty hard. Like when you have someone that just because they have experience doesn't mean they're a good fit. So there needed to be a better process. And so they did a lot of research from a behavioral science standpoint to determine what makes someone actually a good candidate and a good employee. And it's more than just experience. Skills can be taught in a lot of areas, especially if they have soft skills that are transferable. Most companies have a unique system anyways, where they say, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
So having someone that has experience, there are skills that are important, but it's important to have a compatibility fit with culture, with values, with the soft skills like showing up and integrity and making sure that someone's driven and growth-minded, and that a lot of these things that are more important than actually they have experience doing the role. So we partnered with a behavioral science company to create a unique assessment that assesses 12 areas. And those areas are 8 of them are personality and 4 of them are cognitive. The cognitive ones are logical problem solving, rapid problem solving, spatial visualization, and vocabulary. We assess adaptability, assertiveness, sociability, responsiveness. There's several different areas that we assess in personality. And the unique thing is that people have been using assessments for years, and
Right.
they are very valuable to understand a person. What's unique about us is that we don't assess Howard to say, you're this type of person. We assess for the role and say, how well does Howard fit to the role? And so that's what separates us a little bit from other assessments. I think they're all accurate. I've taken about 16 different ones, and I believe they're all accurate through the lens of how people interact together, how to motivate that person, what are the things that drive that person. I believe that multiple ones are used very valuable, but ours really assesses to how well they fit to the role. For example, as a COO, I'm a 93% fit. That tells me that there's about a 7% area that I'm not a perfect fit for, which is okay. Actually, our high fit is about 67.
Wow.
So someone that is a 75 fit is not necessarily less qualified than someone that's a 95 fit. It just means that they're going to have less adjustments to make to be, unique in that role. And that's around being, maybe they're more sociable, so they're more people driven than they're task driven. Or maybe they're a little bit more reserved than aggressive. in assertiveness. All of those are areas. So for me, I'm super intense, and I know that about myself now, and that means that sometimes that's read as anger, And so it's really important to understand that, because now I know that I'm more intense than the role really requires. So there's sometimes I need to approach things a little bit different. So my urgency is not read as anger; it's read as urgency, and so it's allowed me to lead better rather than just look at it and say, "Oh, I'm off the mark here."
I looked at your website, and it also talks about how you extend this expertise and into even the onboarding process, as well as maybe even some training and management. Did I catch that correctly? Or
Yeah, so the foundation was the tool. The tool was a better way to do things, and it's very effective. It's effective not just in the hiring process. It's vastly, it is very, very effective in the leading and managing portion. So whether if you have relationships, work or otherwise, it's a massively effective tool. It could be leveraged in the hiring process to determine if this person's a good fit and how much risk do I have bringing them onto the team if they're not a good fit. You would never want to hire someone just because they have experience, knowing that they would fail in a position. It just wouldn't be a good decision.
true. Yeah.
We can't. We typically hire based off of experience. That is the most common thing. You'll see an ad for I need 10 years experience in a role, and I think like that is crazy amount of experience, because I've transitioned careers multiple times, and it doesn't take me 10 years to gain a high level of understanding about the process or the actual product or the service or whatever it is.
Right. Intellectual thing.
What takes forever is your ability to connect with people. That is the thing that has, so experience wise, we should be leveraging like what size of teams have you worked with? What environments have you worked in? That's the experience that's necessary, less about what product or knowledge or service or, even in a sales environment. I was never in a sales environment, and yet I've had to transition into that role, and I quickly understood what does it take to be good at sales. You follow a process. You connect with, build rapport. You identify pain. You anchor to the pain, and you create a solution. The solution becomes, a need. Like, all of that stuff it's not something that needs years of it, because in sales, what's most important is the relationship.
Yes.
You have to build rapport and trust. And so any type of skill can be learned quickly, and it's important to understand the human aspect of it most importantly. That is the biggest part of it. So our assessment really helps with that. So our tools are used not just as a filter in our recruiting process, very effective. They're used as a tool in onboarding. If I asked you someone about your team and I said, hey, tell me about some people that you work with. You're like, I've worked with this person for many years. You're going to know when they're having a bad day, when they're having a good day, what kind of news will upset them, what kind of news will make them happy. You're going to know all about that. And if I said, what if you could compress that time and learn that quicker? What if it only took you a shorter amount? Instead of, I've known this person for 6 months, say, I know this person well in 30 days. How much more value would that add to your ability to be effective? And that's really what we're able to do, is compress that time by allowing us to know more about what drives this person as a human being, not just as a position.
Yeah. I think you're right. When you put the right person with the right innate skills and talent in the right job, then it's a home run, right? It works well. If you don't, it's a big learning curve. It's also stressful to them. It's stressful maybe even to the company, et cetera. And you're right. I think even the other side of it is that the human relationship is very important, because you're not going to hire someone you don't like. So the chemistry of that meeting, the interview meeting, very critical. And then the chemistry of getting on the team also comes into play. But I think you're right that if someone doesn't have the innate ability to lead it and be excellent at something, then they will struggle, and they will probably fall out. Let me ask you this question: what are the types of positions that the team architects places? What's your spread and your niches?
We started out of the foundation of real estate investment. So predominantly a large number of those are in acquisitions and sales managers and executive assistant and operator levels like operations manager or director of operations or COO. We have 186 different profiles identified. So we can identify a pest control technician, and we can identify a different transaction coordinator and different things. It's not specific like only to real estate investment. It's just where we started. So there's a predominant number of those. We've helped accountants, we've helped attorneys, we've helped bookkeeping type roles as well. Any professional services. I think that if you looked at it like, what do we specialize in? White collar versus blue collar. More of a professional services type of role or leadership level, more so than an entry level workforce labor type of positions. Skilled labor that would be more of a trades type of thing. I'm not sure that it's our best fit. We're higher qualified for leadership type. Yeah, the white collar stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I like that whole concept. How was that? How will AI affect your particular market and focus, and how will it help both sides of the equation, the hiring side and the candidate job seeker side?
Overall, I think recruiting is saturated, and there's a lot of recruiters out there, and their model is because there's a lot of work, manual work that goes into it. A lot of them charge a percentage of the salary as a model, and I think that recruiting is effective in overall. And what I would say about AI is that I think the more that AI becomes saturated, the more we're going to be able to be seen as unique. We leverage AI every day. We use it to analyze, we use it to evaluate, we use it to help us make decisions. But we have a specific rule of the human in the loop. We are very, very much like there are things that we can do to expedite our process, be better at following up. There's automations that can and AI that can help us be more efficient. But we will always have a human in the loop. We've discussed having an AI recruiter type of interview, and it's going to miss the point. There has to be the ability to read emotion. There has to be the ability to understand, not just listen for, when you listen to hear or you listen to respond as opposed to listen to understand. And that's really where the human element right now is going to have leverage. So the more that AI is out there and it's being leveraged in the recruiting environment, I think the better we're going to stand out as being extremely valuable because we still have a human aspect of it. We assess people, not just skills. If it was just about skills, we would send out an assessment that tests a person's skills and say, yep, Howard knows how to answer this test and perform. It's not effective. If that was the only way to do it, say I need someone with these skills, send me your resume, and that's your skills. And we know it.
Do you work always on an exclusive basis and or a retained type basis?
We have our contract is based on the role. So it's not we do have clients that retain us for ongoing growth. Not every company is scaling where they're hiring multiple people. Most of the time they're looking for a key hire. And so they contract with us to run their funnel, to basically produce them highly qualified candidates, prepare them for the best interview they've ever had with a candidate, and then help them in the decision process. So we do all of that.
Can you tell us a little bit about, today with AI, you kind of have my AI created a resume and your AI is evaluating it and whatever, and you have this AI versus AI kind of battle going on, and it's all coming from the same. How do we in the future try to bring out these key points that you're bringing up? How does that process, with whatever you can tell us about how your process works a little bit? How do you try to bring in the soft skills, the expertise, the knowledge, the capabilities, etc., on top of the skills, which is what the resume only brings?
Yeah, it's the human in the loop. I mean, the more that AI writes a resume and AI reviews the resume and AI automates it, I mean, automation is attractive because it saves time.
Right.
And everybody values time immensely. And everybody wants to be more efficient so they can be more profitable and leverage automations and tools to be more efficient. No matter what, it requires you to get on the phone and talk to someone. It requires you to get in a meeting and talk to someone. All of our calls are done over a video conferencing because it takes more than just hearing a response or reading a response in a text message or an email. Human emotion is extremely powerful. So to be able to have that connection is what's going to separate us. So no matter what, and if you don't have a filtering mechanism, you're going to get things in that someone appears to have skills and they appear to have what you need. Our assessment is not going to be able to be used with AI. Right, as of right now, it takes a human to go through it. I'm sure someone could create something to do that, but that just gets them into the interview. The interview is still a human being.
That's right. Exactly. I can see, they've been doing video screens and things like that since 2012 when I was aware of it. And I actually had a platform to practice that. And I still have a different platform. But the reality was you couldn't get an evaluation. And you're right, most people aren't comfortable with it yet. And therefore they came across a lot, let's say, less than who they might be in person. So it's hard to make that decision. But the time savings was, especially for a lot of jobs where you have high volumes, that was a big time saver. I want to think your concept of that recruiters are saturated the market. I agree with that probably. But wouldn't AI going to cause other saturations? It's already true when people apply on LinkedIn, there's 300, 500 people applying to a lot of jobs because it's too easy. And the second of all, then you have the problem of in the future, if 2 or 3 people could do the job that right now they have 10, you're going to flood the market with additional candidates. And you're going to need, and then that's also going to reduce the number of job orders or positions open that might be out there. How do you think that's going to impact let's say the recruiting industry in general, and even specifically your firm?
It's interesting, and the initial reaction, the initial thought is AI is going to replace jobs, and I believe that's true. No one could argue that. The jobs that it's going to replace are typically to first phase would be administrative and task driven, and even inside of this, if we take a look and say, are computers going to replace jobs? And it's likely that they did. Things that we can do on a computer replaced jobs years ago.
Yeah.
But it's also created jobs. AI has created opportunities. AI has created so whether you in the 6+ billion people in the world, if that's even the number, or 8 billion, I don't even know anymore. It continues to grow, and there still continues to grow a need for jobs. I think that it will transition people to different opportunities and different careers. They may lose one job and there's opportunities out there. Rarely do I find there are companies out there that downsized this year. Amazon downsized, UPS downsized, big companies downsized. That means that there's people available for other opportunities. There's companies that are growing. There's companies that are continuing to hire. We see them every day. So I think it's a shift more than a loss. People might lose opportunities. It's going to encourage them to use other skills. Again, as long as we're human beings, we're going to be dealing with people, and there's going to be a need for a relational type of employment. And so, yeah, it may displace some people that have skills that are specific to things that can be automated or used with AI. But
Correct.
there's always going to be, I think it's just as much of a chance that things are going to grow. The other thing is, in general, and I don't know this is the statistics, but are we understaffed as a world? You know, is there more need in many operations that I've run and in many companies that I've run? There's been a need for talent. There's been a need for people. So if we've had this great need for so many years, and then all of a sudden you're like, I don't need to hire as many people. It's not about I'm gonna get rid of Howard. It's just that I don't need to hire another person to do the role. So it might slow the hiring down rather than displace current workers.
My comment, having talked to a group of people already, and but even in my own coaching, is the jobs that can be automated, you're vulnerable, whereas the person that runs AI to accomplish those jobs is in a better position. But the real challenge then is these transitions for a lot of people. And your approach with the innate skills and that you're measuring, et cetera, will allow them to let's say, express and describe their innate talents to make these transitions happen.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, it's going to impact the job search process, perhaps, and I would guess the interview process as well as the resume process, to come up and present those capabilities, those things that you know, those things that you are interested in doing, as well as the transferable skills. And
Yeah, here's another example. For years, if you've done any work in which we have with needing trades, needing a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, any of those trades, there's been a shortage, and it's been very difficult to find talent and labor that can help with skilled labor in those types of trades. This is an advantage. Now there's going to be, if there's an overage in another area where people are now not wanting to get a job right out of college that they can do, you know, as a technical part, but rather they're going to go into a trade environment, that's not going to be replaced by AI, at least in the near future. So I think it's a shift into what skills can I learn that are going to be useful as AI becomes more and more prevalent. I think there's a fear, just like you mentioned, there is definitely a fear. There's going to be people that are going to be being replaced by AI. But for the most part, if I look at it, and this is through the lens of, let's say, United States, how much offshore labor is being used from other countries right now within the United States because it's cost effective. Virtual
Right.
assistants, people overnight, you can't call Bank of America and not talk to someone that's either from, you know, Pakistan, India, or the Philippines, or something like that. All the data centers, all the phone call centers, they're all outsourced labor because labor was cheaper. Those types of roles will likely be replaced by AI. But the other roles will not be. There's still going to be added roles for, they're building data centers, they're building infrastructure. Those kinds of things are going to be more, it's just a transition.
Interesting. No, I see that coming. And then what about the economics of the marketplace when this happens? Do you see anything impacting your company in the next year or two? Like I see some clouds that remind me of 2009 when the housing thing hit and the Lehman Brothers. And when I was doing recruiting, back then, it hit us fine because we couldn't find enough permanent openings to keep the door open after a year. And
Yeah.
so it was difficult if it floods the market. What's your thoughts on that in terms of maybe, if not your company, recruiters in general, since there's a lot of them?
And I don't know, I haven't been in recruiting forever, so I don't have as much experience to answer for other recruiters or other business models or how they operate. I can talk about our client base. Our client base is heavily into real estate, which is impacted greatly by the way the market shifts.
Ah,
And
okay.
so, but we have still seen a need for talent. So it just shifts a little. And our clients are still growing. They're still learning to adjust. If their business model was to flip houses, maybe they're not flipping houses, but they still have a need to acquire houses and sell houses. They're still buying and selling going on every day. And it just slows and shifts a little bit. So while I think it can happen, I think there's shifts that will happen. I think it's about being aware of that and modifying and adjusting to the needs. Again, I can't speak for other recruiting type businesses. If a recruiter, if like you mentioned, like markets are going to shift, and they do. The 2009 is one example. They shift all the time. Industries change, all that stuff.
Right.
I think we just have to be aware of the situation and say what opportunity opens when this door closes, and what do I need to do to be able to be moldable to that.
Cool. What else would you like to present to the audience about your company or how you approach the things? Is there any other ideas? And then you could also tell us how they can reach you personally and how, in case they would like to have a conversation about their transition and their career, etc.
Yeah, and we do have candidates reach out to us and take our assessment. They would like the results, and we send those out. It's not a service that we really promote. Our theteamarchitects.com it really has all the information that's needed there. Again, theteamarchitects.com, great way to get a hold of us. You can book a meeting. You can get into the process and learn more about what we do. What makes us unique, I think, going forward is that we do have a different model. One is that we don't just look for people that have the experience, right? We match up the personality to the role, and we match up, does this person have the skills as well as are they a real culture and core value fit? It's a human element of it. Other recruiters are definitely a human in the loop, and we are as well. For the company that is doing it themselves, think of it this way. Companies come to us for two main reasons. One is that it takes a lot of time to hire. You post an ad, you get applicants, you get 200 applicants, and you got to try to reach out to them to get their resume. They don't upload their resume. The resume it has gaps. You need more information. It takes a resource from your team time to do that. And so that time is very, very valuable to that business. The second thing is that we do this every day. This is what we do. So inside of their business is likely not that we hire people. Right. Small businesses usually have to take someone from their team to do the hiring, and they may hire 5 people a year. They may hire, if they're big, 10 people a year or whatever it is. They don't hire hundreds of people a month. So when you look at it at scale, we learn very quickly. We're very good at it. So it's either a time savings or it's just an understanding that I know that there's someone that does this better than me. And that's the reason that people come to our company. Our process is refined and very good. It's effective. Is it perfect? We deal with human beings. Anytime you're dealing with humans, it's not going to be perfect. But if you leverage a process and you leverage an assessment and you have talented recruiters that understand how to interview and assess a candidate's fit to a role, then you're going to be set up to be more successful than if you take out any one of those steps. And I think that that's the real key, is that we have a proven process that can be repeated. Companies use our process all the time to internally do it. That means that they have a resource on their team that can follow a process. Companies that don't have a person on their team hire us to do it for them. So, and it's about a time savings.
Now, you said that, and in fact, I looked at the website and I noticed that you had they could even hire for one job in companies, and there was a pricing there. But is there a different price or a offer for that individual candidate that may want to have an assessment to understand these hardwired skills?
Yeah, again, our client, our customer is a client, and they're a company looking to hire. So do we have people that are interested as a candidate? But we're not a placement agency. We don't have, people coming to us saying that I'm looking for a job right now. I want to find out what I'm qualified for. We serve the customer, and there are times when a candidate is highly qualified, and it happens frequently. A customer has several very talented people, and they get down to a final interview, and now we have a highly qualified candidate that is very skilled and very good fit, and they just weren't selected for the one position. It's oftentimes that we look to help that person find employment. We send it out to our community. We say, who is looking for this talented individual? So we do serve candidates, but it's our business model is around serving clients.
Okay, so that once a company says they need help on something, you'll tend to go out and literally source and search and find the candidates.
Yep.
Okay, good. That's excellent. I've really enjoyed hearing this in more detail, and I think you have a great model going forward, especially the company. And I've seen a couple people doing it now. And I did it when I was hiring salespeople many years ago, and we used it. So I think it's a great track, and I'm glad we had a chance to talk. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we part? But
yeah, no, I think something needs to change.
Yes.
And we have a different process here, and I think that that's the big key takeaway, is that talent has been a struggle for a lot of businesses, and there has to be a different way. And so we have a system that's been working. It's different than the old way of hiring, and I think that that's the biggest takeaway here is if you have a talent issue, if you're a company and you struggle with finding talent, then you have to look at doing something different.
Absolutely. How old is the company now? I know you've been there a couple of years, but
6 years. Yeah.
6 years. Excellent. Well, thank you for your time. I hope we get a chance to chat on another topic or two. You're very innovative and creative, and I like it. And so I hope our audience did also. And then hopefully we'll do it again.
Absolutely, Howard.
And I'm Howard Caddy with Career Oyster. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.
Take care.